Thanks so much, Sonia. Well, thank you so much for coming out tonight. It's great to see some dear familiar faces and some less familiar new faces, which we hope to get to know better here after the show. So all of you who came out to support us, thank you so much. He's a getter, old fiddlin' weaver of tales. He's a banjological truth-telling liar. Oh, the night wind is cold, but the story's unfolding. So banish the darkness and come share the fire. He's a jack of all trades and a master of none. His words fall like feathers and cut like a knife. So come in from the cold, have a seat by the hearth. We'll drink and be warmed in the spirit of life. They call him a wordsmith, his forge is your soul. So come melt in the rhyme as the melodies roll. La 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 la. Oh, our journey is deep and there is no return, for the snow has blown over the path that we came. And though bitter the night, there's a fire we keep. Let that smoldering ember now burst into flame. He's a getter, old fiddlin' weaver of tales. He's a banjological truth-telling liar. Oh, the night wind is cold, but the story's unfolding. So banish the darkness and come share the fire. Come share the fire. Come share the fire. Thank you. So thank you. So we're kind of sharing a fire here, and the fire is a fire of life that burns within each one of us. So getting that fire burning is great. Well, so many songs. I'm excited to be able to play here at Plymouth. My family and I have been members here for quite some time. And if you want a church with an open point of view and a lot of freedom and joy, this might be the kind of place for you. So check it out. And here's a little song that's kind of meant a lot to me. And when you do songs as long as I have, some kind of get attached to you, and you are stuck with them. And this is one kind of like that to me. And it's definitely a mind-stretching sort of song. Well, what is the number, the very biggest number, the one that puts the others to shame? Let me tell you now, it isn't 100, 1,000, or 1,000,000, but a Googleplex is its name. Well, a Google is a 1 followed by 100 zeros, but a Googleplex is bigger than that. So keep it up your sleeve and amaze all your friends. Yes, a Googleplex is where it's at. It goes 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 whoa 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 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 whoa 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 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 whoa 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 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Big numbers tend to have lots of zeros in them. 100 has 2 zeros. 1,000 has 3. 1,000,000 has 6. 1,000,000,000 has 9. The bigger the number, the more zeros. There is a number called a Google. Look it up. Googol, which is 1 followed by 100 zeros. It is a very large number, vastly outstripping the number of atoms in the known universe, for instance. And however big a Google is, it is a vanishingly small number compared to a Googleplex, which doesn't have 100 zeros in it. A Googleplex is 1 followed by, count them, a Google number of zeros. 10 raised to the power of 10, all of which is raised to the power of 100. And if you think you comprehend that, I guarantee you are mistaken. 'Cause it's bigger than your mom, older than your dad, higher than your grandma can count. It's taller than the tree, it's wider than the sea, it's bigger than any other amount. You may not like to eat the dozen peas on your plate, but believe me, it could be worse. If you had a Googleplex peas, they would make a pile. Bigger than the universe, 'cause it goes is a 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Whoa 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 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Whoa 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 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Whoa 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 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Well, Google, 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 Googleplex, baby so big it's hard to fit in the tune. If you wrote it all down, it would stretch right around the whole block with enough left to last through the moon. Oh, yes, Googleplex. So you might want to take notes. There just might be a test, a quiz later on. Who knows? Well, all right. Well, I'm a real s'morehead, believe me, pal. Born in a California hospital. My mama was in labor, they wheeled her through the door. That local anesthesia turned out to be a s'more. It was a s'more, yes, it was a s'more. That's what the Lord, honey, made marshmallows and chocolate for. Oh, that's how the s'mores got a hold of my brain. Why, I've always been a little bit insane. It's a terminal disease, there isn't any cure. So take me to the campfire, make me up a s'more, I want a s'more. Oh yes, a little s'more. That's what the Lord, honey, made marshmallows and chocolate for. Well, when I got older, then I went to school. I learned the ABCs and the golden rule. When it was time for lunch, we lined up at the door. I looked up at the lady, I said, give me a s'more, I want a s'more. Oh, just a little s'more. Oh, that's what the Lord, honey, made marshmallows and chocolate for. And when I grow up, I'm gonna get a job. Don't wanna sit around like no chocolate blob. When we discuss my wages, what I'll be working for, I'll tell them, keep your money, just pay me with a s'more. I work for 10 s'mores an hour and double on holidays. That's what the Lord, honey, made marshmallows and chocolate for. Well, now that's my story. It is sad but true. Really pretty shocking what a s'more can do. You start off a normal all-American child. You eat one little s'more and pretty soon it drives you wild. Ow! You gotta blame it on the s'mores. That's what the Lord, honey, made marshmallows and chocolate for. If I don't get one, I'll be blue, blue, blue. Suede s'mores, blue, blue, blue. Suede s'mores, I'll be blue, blue, blue. Suede s'mores, oh blue, blue, blue. Suede s'mores, that's what the Lord, honey, made marshmallows and chocolate for. I'll be blue, blue, blue. I'll be blue, blue, blue. I'll be blue, blue, blue. Suede s'mores, oh blue, blue, blue. Suede s'mores, that's what the Lord, honey, made marshmallows and chocolate for. By request, we had to throw that in there. Well, okay. Well, as Sonia said, I'm kind of known for some of the music I do for kids, and here's a song that I don't often get a chance to perform, but it's one I want to do for you. It involves a little bit of retuning here, so. See, when you have a band, other people take over when this happens. you ever dream you can fly? What's it like for you? Do you run on a windy hill until you rise into the blue sky? Do your arms become like wings? Can you soar miles and miles? Tell me, what's it like in your flying dreams? When you dream that you can fly, you're not sure you really can. Do you stand in the open window but don't feel like Peter Pan? And do you fall fast at first? Is there terror before the joy? Tell me, what's it like in your flying dreams? And I'm sorry if it seems like prying into a secret unique to you. I deny it, but it's no use trying, 'cause I dream of flying too. Do you dream that you can fly? I don't dream it often now. Oh, there's something about getting old that ties you to the ground. Somehow, someday, I'll find a way to weigh no more than a feather in the wind, caught away in the blue and spin of flying dream. And I'm sorry if it seems like prying into a secret unique to you. I deny it, but it's no use trying, 'cause I dream, I do. I dream, don't you? I dream of flying too. Do you ever dream you can fly? Thank you. I do a lot of work with children, and I love that very, very much. And I do a program about character traits and what it means to be a person of character. And I was trying to think of a way of broaching the topic of responsibility without sounding pedantic and really teachy. And this little story, this little song kind of grew out of that as a way of approaching the topic of responsibility through the back door, and it worked out really well. I was surprised what a fun little story. So if you've ever been, how many of you have ever participated in a spelling bee? You've been there, okay. You know the sweat and the consternation and all that, all right. So. One rainy day at school, we thought up a little game. Asking questions, trying to guess each other's middle name. Now some were pretty easy, but some were hard to call. And Angeline turned out to be the hardest one of all. Angeline McFame, oh what's your middle name? How come you never tell us? It's driving us insane. We have tried so hard to guess, but you've never answered yes. What's your middle name? Angeline McFame. We guessed Lindsay, Joe, and Liam. We guessed Stacy, Bryn, and Sue. But Angeline we couldn't guess, no matter what we do. It nearly drove us crazy, we just couldn't let it go. We chose every name on earth, but Angeline kept saying no. Angeline McFame, oh, what's your middle name? How come you never tell us? It's driving us insane. We've tried so hard to guess, but you've never answered yes. Oh, what's your middle name? Angeline McFame. Now this went on for weeks, you see. Each day was just the same, trying to guess the middle name of Angeline McFame. Then came the all-school spelling bee. Everyone was there. A hushed anticipation seemed to crackle in the air. Angeline stood up there representing our whole grade. She was an awesome speller, so we thought we had it made. But the words kept getting harder. One by one the kids sat down, till the only two left standing were the best two in the town. Thomas Sanchez and Angeline McFame. Thomas got the word sequel. S-E-Q-U-E-L. That is correct. Angeline got the word delicious. D-E-L-I-C-I-O-U-S. Thomas got the word filament. F-I-L-A-M-E-N-T. That is correct. Angeline got the word orange. O-R-A-N-G-E. Thomas got the word responsibility. R-E-S-P-O-N-S-A-B-I-L-I-T-Y? I'm sorry, that is incorrect. The word now goes to our other contestant, Angeline. Can you spell responsibility? Angeline jumped to her feet with a big grin on her face. Responsibility? That's my middle name. It always sees you because it has 3 I's in it. R-E-S-P-O-N-S-I-B-I-L-I-T-Y. That's how the spelling bee was won by Angeline McFame. And that's also how we finally came to learn her middle name. And we all know how to spell it now because we've gotten wise. You can't hide from responsibility because it's got 3 I's. Oh, Angeline McFame, we now know your middle name. We know responsibility is more than just a game. The best spelling lesson yet is the one we won't forget. Thanks to Angeline Responsibility McFame. Thank you, Angeline Responsibility McFame. Whew, thank you. You've heard about senior moments. They don't happen to me. It's all well and good for the feeble of mind to be losing their memory. But I'm much too smart and with it. I've been like that since way back in school, when I graduated from Stanford with honors. Oh yes, in the year 19. I don't believe in senior moments. If you ask me, it's just an excuse for the mentally lazy and the marginally crazy not putting their wits to good use. But but not me. No, my mind's still a bear trap, nimbly storing all that I take in. Why, I just read a book about strengthening your memory. It's called, it'll come to me. Just one more senior moment. You can see it, but can't get there from here. Oh, you know that you knew, but you don't have a clue. Just another senior moment, my dear. Now, I really don't like senior moments. The junior ones were better by far. We didn't have much money, but at least after shopping, we had a good chance of finding the car. And of all that I've lost in my lifetime, my mind is what I miss the most. At the breakfast of life, I'm still sunny side up, but I'm afraid that my memory is toast. Here's a toast to those senior moments. You can see it, but can't get there from here. Oh, you know that you knew, but you don't have a clue. Just another senior moment, my dear. Now, you can't organize senior moments. No, they come when they jolly well please. Finally got it together, then forgot where I put it. Probably in the same place as my keys. We've a duty to pass on our wisdom. If we could only recall what it is. In those immortal words of Abraham Lincoln. In those immortal words of Abraham Lincoln. Oh, shoot. Fourscore and senior moments. You can see it, but can't get there from here. Oh, you know that you knew, but you don't have a clue. Just another senior moment, my dear. Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Distressingly autobiographical, I have to confess. Are any of you visiting from out of town? Do any of you not live in Minnesota? A few of you don't. Okay, so you're just kind of hanging out, and all right. Well, Minnesota is known for a number of things. There's one thing that we're kind of known for that the Department of Natural Resources and the Department of Tourism has been trying to suppress slow these many years. Yes, I am talking about the mosquitoes. What is that cloud approaching yonder, darkening the skies? Like a million buzzing helicopters coming o'er the rise. Better run for shelter if there's blood still in your veins, 'cause you're now in Minnesota, where a king mosquito reigns. Give me Taipei, give me Taibo. Monster Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. Now we need some ghostly background audience echoes. That's you guys, like this. Give me Taipei, give me Taipei, give me Taibo, give me Taibo. Excellent. Then you go, monster Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. In the sky. Yep, back where I come from up in northern Minnesota, them mosquitoes get mighty big. How big are they? Well, you'll have to ascertain for yourself from the fact that we do have a year-round hunting season on them up there. You have to get a big game license. And you can't even get one if you're married with small children. They can't afford to lose you off the tax rolls. Why, they still tell stories about the monster Minnesota mosquito hunting season of '78 when my Uncle Bill and his brothers are up hunting mosquitoes along the Rainy River along Highway 11 there west of International Falls, Koochiching County. Well, Bill's brothers are off scouting a suitable place for a mosquito blind while Bill stayed back at the cabin to clean his rifle. Turned out to be the mistake of his young life. He had his whole rifle apart, was swabbing it down with an old diaper and some WD-40 when the whole cabin began to shake. What sounded like a herd of chainsaws come roaring out of the woods. And Bill ran out onto the porch of the cabin, only to encounter four, count them, four of the biggest, toughest mosquitoes he'd ever seen in his whole entire life, bearing down on him simultaneously all at once, from every direction, all at the same time. Well, Bill grabbed the only weapon at hand, happened to be a claw hammer, jumped into an empty 55-gallon steel drum, pulled the lid on just in the nick of time. Figured he was safe inside that drum till his brothers got back to rescue him. But then the mosquitoes started boring through the barrel with their stingers. They had carbide-tipped stingers. Well, at least Bill had his hammer with him. As each stinger came through the barrel, Bill bravely bent it over with a few stout whacks. He got the fourth mosquito nailed to the barrel, though, and they flew off with the thing, and Bill was never seen again. Those carnivore mosquitoes plagued a section of the state. We tried to trap them out using an elephant for bait. Checked the trap come morning by the rosy light of dawn, and the mosquitoes had made a getaway, and the elephant was gone. Give me typhoid. Won't you give me typhoid? Oh yes, monster Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. Up in Alaska, they have a problem with wolves preying on house pets. Up in northern Minnesota, it's not that unusual to see a mosquito flying off with a wolf. Sometimes two. Where else do they use second-hand Brinks trucks for bloodmobiles, armed guards and all? Now you think I'm making this all up, I only wish I were. Those mosquitoes survive the winter in their heavy coats of fur. Sometimes you see them flying in their winter underwear, a full-length coat they've stolen right off some grizzly bear. Give me typhoid. Oh, give me typhoid. Give me typhoid. Monster Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. I could go on all night like this, but suffice it to say there's one story more than any other that people ask me about, and it has to do with the largest Minnesota mosquito sighting on state record. It had to do with my great-grandfather. Art was his name. Art had a farm up in Coochiching County out back in the 1950s. Story goes he was heading out to his barn at milking time one July morning back then, and he saw the biggest mosquito he'd ever seen in his whole entire life trying to make off with one of his prized milk cows. Well, they were already airborne, but Art finally brought that mosquito down with 6 slugs from a 10-gauge shotgun. One of those slugs hit that mosquito right between the eye, landed with a wallop in the middle of his field. Registered on seismographs down in St. Louis, Missouri. Caused quite a stir among the geologists down there. Several scholarly papers, well, never mind. Anyway, Art waltzed out to his field, came across a smoking crater 40 feet across, 12 feet deep, where the mosquito had landed. He couldn't save his cow, and the mosquito also, strangely enough, had expired. Now, being the waste not, want not type that he was, Art figured he'd at least skin the mosquito and save the hide. He had a buck knife with a 10-inch blade on it. Couldn't get it through the hide, it was pretty thick. So he fired up his Husqvarna chainsaw, skinned the mosquito using that. 14 hours later, when he was done, the resulting hide was too heavy to move by hand. He had to tie it to his John Deere tractor and haul it back to the barn that way. Now, all along, he planned on nailing it to the barn wall and curing it up like a raccoon skin or something. Soon found out he did not have a barn wall big enough for the hide to even fit on. He had to drape it over the roof and let it hang down the other side. Obscured the entire building from view. Well, word soon got to town about that monster Minnesota mosquito hide out at Art's farm, and the local newspaper sent one of them photographer fellas to take a picture of it. The picture was so big it wouldn't fit on the front page of the paper. They had to use a 3-page fold-out and a Sunday supplement just to publish that thing. The photograph alone weighed over 12 pounds. Hung at the local bait shop for a number of weeks. Well, anyway, all during the summer and into the fall, Art was making money hand over fist, charging people 50 cents a head to come on out to the farm and check out the hide. Well, then the first hard freeze came in late October, froze the hide solid around the barn, and he couldn't get in there all winter long. His cows nearly starved to death. It was a terrible thing. Well, finally, in the springtime came, and the hide thawed a little bit. Art got his chainsaw, and he's cut the whole thing into a bunch of pieces. He's going to throw it all away and be done with it. Then he thought a little bit better of it, and he made it into 212 pairs of leather work gloves, 47 pairs of leather hiking boots, which he donated to the Boy Scouts, and he still had enough mosquito hide left over to reupholster every stick of furniture in his house, every pew in the local Lutheran church, and the front seat of his 48 Dodge pickup. With one piece of hide that remained when all that was done, Art made himself a wallet, which he carried to his dying day. Matter of fact, at the funeral, his dear widow Thelma passed it along to me. I myself have carried it for many years now. There's plenty of good wear left in it. Hard to wear out mosquito hide, tell you that. My song is done, though it's not quite as bad as I have said. Some folks survive mosquito bites, though most of them are dead. If you're attacked while driving, you're the really lucky kind, 'cause mosquitoes take the passengers, but often leave the car behind. Give me type A. Oh, give me type O. Monster, Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. Monster, Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. Thank you. Well, I'm kind of one of those kids that never quite grew up, and I've been captivated by little things that make music all my life, and this is called the Limberjack, sometimes called the Limber Jim or the Limber Jill. They're not boys, they're not girls, they're gender non-specific little individuals who just love to dance. They have this little board here. They harken back to Ireland hundreds of years ago. And I noticed I was billed as a folk singer on the publicity, so I thought I'd better do at least one folk song to kind of, be a folk singer. So a little song called The Boatman's Dance, written by Daniel Emmett, who also wrote Dixie, and he was a very famous songwriter back in the 1800s. And he wrote this little song. I'll give you a little taste of the Limberjack here. Oh, the boatman dance, the boatman sing, boatman do most everything. When the boatman gets on shore, spends his money, then he works for more. It's dance, boatman dance, dance, boatman dance. Dance all night till the broad daylight, go home with the gals in the morning. Hey ho, the boatman rows, sail down the river on the Ohio. Hey ho, the boatman rows, sail down the river on the Ohio. Oh, the oyster boat should keep to shore, the fish smash should venture more. The schooner sails before the wind, steamboat leaves a streak behind. It's dance, boatman dance, dance, boatman dance. Dance all night to the broad daylight, go home with the gals in the morning. Hey ho, the boatman row, sail down the river on the Ohio. Hey ho, the boatman row, sail down the river on the Ohio. So you just get that little board bouncing kind of like that, and you kind of rock your Limberjack back and forth slightly. And when you wiggle your wrist, then the arms tend to go around there. Now, like many things in life, you don't have to hit the board hard, but you have to hit it at the right time. You know what I'm saying? All right. Well, never seen a pretty girl in my life, but that she'd be some boatman's wife. When that boatman blows his horn, look out, man, your daughter's gone. It's dance, boatman, dance, dance, boatman, dance. Dance all night to the broad daylight, go home with the gals in the morning. Hey ho, the boatman row, sail down the river on the Ohio. Hey ho, the boatman row, sail down the river on the Ohio. Hey ho, the boatman row, sail down the river on the Ohio. Hey ho, the boatman row, sail down the river on the Ohio. Yeah, that's the Limberjack. Okay, speaking of boatmen, one of my favorite boatmen is a guy named John Hartford, and John was a well-known singer-songwriter, banjo player, wrote Gentle on My Mind, and he's kind of a guy that got me interested in playing the banjo. And I wanted to play a little tune in tribute to old John Hartford. If we can get Scott up here, that'd be even better yet. So, quite all right. Key of D. I'm going to be playing a funny little instrument called the jaw harp. And the jaw harp is goes back thousands of years. It was a very common barter and trade item. way back in the day, and it was one of the very first mass-produced items when the Industrial Revolution took hold. And jaw harps literally swept the New World and bought the state of Massachusetts, among other things. And
Jack,
so,
I have a question.
okay.
Is this the first time there's been a jaw harp in this sanctuary?
I don't know.
Does anybody know?
This might actually be a virgin jaw harp space. I don't know. I don't
Just
know.
checking.
We're going to change that, though. We're going to change that. All right. So, anyway. Well, dream of a girl in a stern wheel steamboat, piled house stove and engine room brass, hanging on a pole near the main deck stairway, long hair skipping in the Mississippi doo. Oh, the river run wide, deep, and run muddy, the river run long after I am gone, steamboat wheeling on a big wide bend, skipping in the Mississippi doo. Well, went up the river come way last Sunday, 12 feet of water on the Memphis gauge. You wouldn't be home without the muddy water rolling off the paddle wheel, skipping in the Mississippi doo. Oh, the river run wide, deep and run muddy, the river run long after I am gone, steamboat wheeling on a big wide bend, I'm skipping in the Mississippi doo. Well, it used to be spring, I'd work on the river, 35 days on a valley line boat, make a little money, get a springtime chicken to take off, skipping in the Mississippi doo. Oh, the river run wide, deep, run muddy, the river run long after I am gone, steamboat wheeling on a big wide bend, I'm skipping in the Mississippi doo. Oh, the river run wide, deep, and run muddy, the river run long after I am gone, steamboat wheeling on a big wide bend, skipping in the Mississippi doo. Thank you. Davy Crockett had the fastest horse, he had the surest rifle, the prettiest sister, and the ugliest dog in all of East Tennessee. Davy and that old ugly dog and the rest of the family, well, they lived on a farm way back there in Nolichucky County, Tennessee, back when America was young, rugged, and wild, just getting started and stuff. Seems that back in Davy's day, there was a little comet that got lost somewhere up in the universe. It's real unusual because comets are sort of shy little critters, but this one must have been a baby comet. It wasn't very big. Now, you kids, are there any kids you know what comets are? A comet looks kind of like a star up in space, but they're smaller than that, go in a big loop orbit around the sun. When they get close to the sun and close to the earth, the comet gets something on the end of it, a long, long, glowing tail. Well, this little baby comet must have thought the earth was its mom. Started orbiting the earth till it was shooting over Nolichucky 3 times a day. First to come over about breakfast time and all the kids are waking up and getting ready for school. Everybody knew when the comet was coming because the ground would start to shake. Trees would start to flutter. The comet would come, roar, shaking everything and knocking everybody out of bed. Very bad if you were on the top bunk. Cereal bowls went flying, orange juice on the wall. People were slipping. It was a mess. It was dangerous. It took till lunchtime to get all that stuff cleaned up. And in the meantime, that comet had orbited the entire Earth. Well, lunchtime rolled around in Nolichucky, and everybody sat down for a bite of that old bologna sandwich when they dived under the table. pounding, shooting through the trees, spraying sparks and fire, setting everything burning up, and it's all a volunteer fire department could do, running around till supper time, putting out them fires. They were squirting water on this, shoving dirt on that, putting out fires here and there. Whew, that was hard work. Well, they all came dragging home at supper time, plumb wore out from fighting them fires all afternoon. Sat down at the supper table, big old bowl of homemade chili, had the first spoon up to their mouth when we shooting over, making so much noise, the chickens quit laying eggs, the dogs were hiding under the porches. It was awful. Well, now Davy figured something had to be done to get rid of that little comet. No one was doing anything. Of course, Davy figured he better do something himself. Now, Davy loved to do stuff, but before he did things, he always thought about it first. His favorite place to think was an old maple tree stump in the middle of town. Davy called it his thinking stump. Davy always sat there when he had important stuff to think about. Davy waltzed out to that old thinking stump. He plunked down. He began to think, how do you get rid of a comet? That's a tough problem. Davy started tapping his foot, helped him concentrate a little bit better. Davy sat there thinking and tapping and thinking. Better he thought, the better he tapped, the deeper he thought. And it wasn't long before that tapping foot attracted his attention, gave him just the idea he was looking for. Now, Davy Crockett was the best buck dance clogger in all of Nolichucky County, Tennessee, and his pa was quite the fiddler, too. Davy decided he was going to dance that little comet to death, or try. Nobody had ever danced with a comet before. But that never stopped Davy. He's always doing stuff no one ever done before. Shoot, that was his favorite thing to do. Davy glanced over his shoulder, saw this spooky glow over the Blue Ridge Mountains. He knew that was the comet fixing to come blasting over closer than it ever came before. There wasn't a moment to spare. The ground was already trembling. Davy jumped up off that thinking stump and shouted to his pa, "Pa, go get your fiddle. Come on, we need some dancing music right away, quick." Well, it never took much coaxing to get Davy's pa to play the fiddle. And when he heard the words dancing music, he grabs old fiddle off the wall. Did I hear somebody say dancing music? I'm coming, Davy. Where's this here dance at? Began playing out an old hoedown tune called Sally Good, and went a little bit like this. That little comet heard the fiddling down in Nolichucky, came to a screeching, roaring halt in the sky, and started swaying and bobbing and wagging its old tail in time to that music. Davy Crockett ran out in the middle of town and bowed to that little comet. Comet looked down out of the sky, bowed to Davy. They started dancing together right there in the middle of town with Davy's pa playing the fiddle. Davy and the comet, they danced all night. Everybody clapped and the moon shone bright. They did buck and wing and a whole lot more. Davy's daddy got so tired he was fiddling on the floor. Fiddle mighty high, fiddle mighty low, with a hee-ah-ha, do-side-do. Fiddle fire around the mountain, and before he was through, fiddle every single fiddle to the mountains ever knew. All night long, Davy, that little comet, danced and danced. They danced up and down the road. They danced around the barn. They danced through the woods. They danced across the lake. And Davy's pa played every tune he could think of, upside down, inside out, and backwards. Played a couple of them tunes sideways. That ain't been done before or since. And by the time the morning sunshine came peeking over the tops of the Blue Ridge Mountains the following day, that little comet was so tired out from dancing all night with Davy, started sinking lower and lower in the sky. There, hung 2 or 3 feet off the ground. Davy gave it one last little. The comet went, fell into a glowing ball at Davy's feet, going, This one pooped out a little comet. Now, Davy kind of figured that was going to happen. And he looked down on the road and saw that winding snake and comet tail I was telling you about. Over there by the apple orchard and off by the schoolyard, Davy grabbed that thing by the tail, started swinging it around his head. Faster and faster. Everybody ran to get out of the way. Being careful to miss a flock of geese flying by in the steeple on the church, Davy threw that comet clean back up into outer space. Hasn't been heard from or seen since, which is why you've never heard about it before, I guess. I first learned that story when I was 4 years old. I learned it out of a little golden book called Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. My mother bought, stand up, Mom, this is my mother, Jerry Pearson. She bought that book for 25 cents at the grocery store. So, I'm just saying that stories can take root and become lifelong traveling companions. So, you know, feed your kids on stories, okay? Now, I don't know about you, but, you know, some of us are just kind of non-digital people. You know what I mean? They're just, we don't really get computers particularly, and you were just born in the wrong time. You know what I'm saying? Now, I can't believe that I'm the only one like that around here, but it's always seemed to me that we have, you know, animal sanctuaries for endangered species and things like that. We should have a place where non-computer people can go, like a preserve of some sort. Not have to deal with that stuff. And as I was thinking about that, this image of an old backwoods ma and pa kind of cafe sort of came to mind, and well, there's a place where they put you when you're not yet online. It's an old-fashioned outpost from long bygone time, where you're not blocking progress and you're out of the way. Place called the Cyberspace Roadkill Cafe. It has old peeling paint and a blue neon sign on a dusty old back road near the end of the line, where us folks not adapted to microchip ways inconspicuously can live out the rest of our days. I am a roadkill on the shoulder of that information superhighway. If you're roadkill too, there's a booth here for you at the Cyberspace Roadkill Cafe. Here the topics of speech are stuff you'll understand. Not modems, not websites, gigabytes or RAM. Oh, but baseball and weather and what talk used to be before this old digital catastrophe. Old Lorna is the waitress, Mrs. Banks is the cook. It's all right to hang out here, just read a good book. 'Cause that virtual life's not the life for me. I would rather have a real one with live company. 'Cause I am a roadkill on the shoulder of that information superhighway. If you're roadkill too, there's a booth here for you at the Cyberspace Roadkill Cafe. Here we go, Scott. Here it's human and basic, if you know what I mean. The jukebox in the corner's the most complex machine, playing Moon River wider than a mile. High tech here means the payphone that you still have to dial. But you'll find real people when you walk through that door, with a head on their shoulders and their feet on the floor, singing songs, telling stories like you heard from Granddad. Good neighbors and the best friends that you ever had. 'Cause they're all roadkill on the shoulder of that information superhighway. If you're roadkill too, there's a booth here for you at the Cyberspace Roadkill Cafe. We're all roadkill on a shoulder of that information superhighway. If you're roadkill too, there's a booth here for you at the Cyberspace Roadkill Cafe. I'd like to thank you so much. I'd like to introduce my good buddy, my good friend Scott Melchow. This is Scott. Give Scott a hand, make him welcome here. Scott's been my right-hand musical arm for, these many years, and become a dear friend. He's a tremendously gifted guy, and wow, can he play music. So thanks for joining me, Scott. This is a little song that came about as my first encounter with the California redwoods. I don't know how many of you have ever been out to the West Coast and encountered the Sequoia sempervirens coastal redwoods, amazing trees. And the word sempervirens is Latin for ever living, and truly it's well named. They come through fires, they have extremely fire-resistant bark, and the individual trees last thousands of years, but the root systems last tens of thousands of years. And the individuals come and go, but the root systems remain, from which spring all the individual trees. There is a place on the planet where the hand of the Lord is strong, where his breath is in the breeze and the soil and in the trees he has loved so long. Cradled at the feet of the mountains, moistened by the mists of time, in silence giving birth in the bowels of the earth, keepers of the ancient rhyme. Sequoia sempervirens, shadows of the sacred dawn. Oh, Sequoia sempervirens, living ever on and on. Honored by the race of the red man, for generations none can name, in the bosom of the one great spirit, from age unto age the same, adding ring round the seasons, while tribal nations rise and fall, slender arrows in the bow of the mystery, vigilant, strong and tall. Sequoia sempervirens, shadows of the sacred dawn. Oh, Sequoia sempervirens, living ever on and on. Oh yes, there is a place on the planet where the servants of the Lord do stand, gathered round the throne in intercession in the midst of a darkened land. These are they who have come through the fire of tribulations burning away, who still bear all the scars of the struggle as they worship both night and day. Sequoia sempervirens, shadows of the sacred dawn. Oh, Sequoia sempervirens, living ever on and on. Sequoia semper virens, shadows of the sacred dawn. Sequoia semper virens, living ever on and on. Shadows of the sacred dawn, living ever on and on. Shadows of the sacred dawn. I heard a little story one time that gripped me deeply. There's a little girl, she was in school, like in second grade. It was art time, and all the kids in the class were coloring trees. Well, the teacher went up and down the rows, examining the trees that the kids were coloring, came across this little girl, and the teacher leaned down and said, "Well, that's very nice, but I've never seen a purple tree trunk, now have I?" And the little girl looked up and said, "Oh, that's too bad." Here's to all of you weirdos, I understand, born dancing to the music of a different band. The road has been lonely, I know that it's true, 'cause I am a weirdo too. It goes way back to grade school, to your earliest times, where you were strictly instructed to color within the lines. And at art class they told you while making the rounds, your purple tree trunks were very interesting. But everyone knows that tree trunks are brown. Here's to all purple tree trunks, long may they grow. Here's to wild, crazy colors where the lines never go. It might be that you're seeing what no one's ever seen. Normal is just a setting on your washing machine. Here's to all of you weirdos, you know who you are. Like alien beings from some faraway star. You think none understands, but I've a hunch that I do. Bet I'm even weirder than you. You were raised to be normal, but never felt it inside. So like the rest of us weirdos, you learned how to hide. But come out long enough now to hear what I say. Being weird has its own problems, oh yes. But in the meantime, you're really okay. Here's to all purple tree trunks, long may they grow. Here's to wild, crazy colors where the lines never go. Might be that you're seeing what no one's ever seen. 'Cause normal is just a setting on your washing machine. And at last, to you teachers with kids in your charge, they don't come packaged neatly, small, medium, and large. A few might be weird, and believe me, I know. I was one not so long ago. But won't you do me a favor when art class comes round and all the other kids are coloring their tree trunks of brown? If you spot one that's purple, won't you bend down and say, "A purple tree trunk? Who would have thought of that? It's the prettiest one that I've seen all day." Here's to all purple tree trunks, so long may they grow. crazy colors where the lines never go. Might be that you're seeing what no one's ever seen. 'Cause normal is just a setting on your washing machine. And here's to all you dear others, not especially weird. Don't measure the world by the length of your beard. 'Cause normal's not really all that it might seem. Normal is just a setting. You were listening. Well, I was a very blessed child to grow up in a story-rich environment. And I offer you this. Once was a guy named Sam. He didn't live too far from you, and everybody in Sam's neighborhood called him Circle Sam. And that's because Sam lived in a circle, actually. He'd drawn a circle all around the outside of his property. He just drew it right in the dirt, about 10 feet away from the foundation. Nothing inside Sam's circle ever got out, and nothing outside Sam's circle ever got in. Sam liked it that way, kept things safe and predictable, Well, things were going fine for old Circle Sam till one day he was feeling a little bit out of sorts, and well, the next morning he was feeling worse, and finally by the third day he knew something was seriously wrong, and he got on the phone to the doctor. Oh, yes, Sam, yes, a terrible malady indeed. I recognize the symptoms. Treatment? Well, the only treatment I can recommend is the fruit of the tambo tree. Well, Sam, he'd never heard of any tambo tree before. He went to his bookshelf, got a book of trees, started leafing through it. There on page 38 was a picture of one of those tambo trees. It's kind of spirally purple leaves and kind of red fruit on it. And Sam realized he'd seen one of those trees before, but where? Well, he went outside of his house, right up to the edge of his circle. And right there, growing on a little hill out behind his garden, was one of those tambo trees. Outside the circle, can't trust anything out there, probably poison. Sam went back inside. But he was feeling worse and worse until he finally couldn't even walk anymore. Sam realized he was going to have to get some of that tambo fruit or die or something. So Sam formulated a truly desperate plan. He never thought it would come to this. He crawled out his front door, crawled up to the edge of his circle, and with a trembling hand, he erased part of the circle. And he took a stick. Laboriously, he drew it all around the tambo tree, which was now in the circle, but Sam was too weak to do anything but just sort of lie there on the ground. Well, pretty soon a little girl came skipping over the hill. Well, good morning. I don't believe I've seen you around here before. You haven't. Who are you? My name is Violet. I live with my mama off there, the other side of the hill there. But who are you? What you doing lying on the ground like that? Yeah, my name's Sam. I'm trying to get some of this fruit. Oh, I'll help you with that, Sam. No, you can't come in my circle. What circle are you talking about? My circle, here on the ground. That's just a little scratch in the dirt. I'll jump over that. No, you can't come in my circle. All right, okay. If I can't come in, can you come out? No, I can't come outside my circle. Says who? It's the rules. Looks like we're stuck. See you later, Circle Sam. Violet skipped away, but a wave of despair washed over Sam. No, Violet, come back, please, will you? She did. Sam crawled on over and you're in the circle now, Violet. So I am. Well, Violet tried her best to climb that tree. She couldn't get a toehold to save her life. Sam, looks like we're going to need our ladder. Ladder? What ladder? Well, the one back at my house. But, I know, it's not in your silly circle. Here, give me that stick. Violet ran off. She drew a circle all around her house. Came back a couple minutes later, the rickety old ladder, put that up against that tambo tree, scrambled up there like a little monkey. Pretty soon that tambo fruit came raining down one after the next. One of them bumped Sam right upside the head, kind of picked it up and pulled the husk off and took a bite. Ow. the sweetest thing he'd ever tasted. His whole entire life, he ate the whole thing down. He ate another one and another one. Sam started feeling a whole lot better, almost right away. Well, after a while, he could even stand up again. Sam, looks like your circle ain't too round no more. As long as you're back on your feet and all, why don't you come on over to my place for dinner tonight? My mama makes the best old tambo pie you'll ever taste. You know what? That's exactly what happened. And the very next morning came a knock at Violet's door. When she opened it up, well, there stood old Circle Sam with a big old walking stick in his hand and a backpack over his shoulder. Violet, I just came to say thank you and goodbye. You see, I've decided to draw my circle as wide as I can. This might take some time. Sure enough, it did. Fact is, Sam was never seen around there again. And how big his circle has gotten by now, well, who knows? Why, some people think it might even end up circling the whole entire world. I started off as a baby. My crib was mighty small. To tell the truth, the whole world was me from wall to wall. I drew one tiny circle and I sat smack dab inside. And if anyone got too close, then I just cried, oh, how I cried. At school I drew a circle on the playground one fine day to play a game with friends and keep those other kids away. But my teacher strolled on over and she knelt so none could hear. I'll never forget what she whispered in my ear. She said, draw your circle big, draw your circle wide, draw it so that everyone can find a place inside. Open up your heart, that's where you begin to draw love's circle wide enough to circle others in. Oh, draw your circle big, draw your circle wide, draw it so that hate and fear can't find a place to hide. Open up your heart, 'cause that's where you begin to draw love's circle wide enough to circle others in. To draw love's circle wide enough to circle others in. Thanks. Thanks so much. Thank you. Well, we're going to wrap up with a little song which has grown out of a previous song, interestingly. And it just kind of sums up, why we come to Plymouth. And, somebody asked me that recently, and I said, well, it's because of the incredible and amazing teaching, and it's because of the phenomenal music, and it's because of the awesome people, and all of that, as true as it is, it's also on account of the inclusion and the richness of the family of faith here at Plymouth. So thank you. They say home's where the heart is. I'd say they got it right. Home is the heart's address, I would agree. Where the ones you love embrace you exactly as you are. Where you're always welcome, joyful, safe, and free. It is love that makes a family and a home. This is your part, just listen. It is something deep inside I've always known. Come what will, come what may, at the end of every day, it is love that makes a family and a home. Let's try line by line. It's love that makes a family and a home. Let's try it. It is love that makes a family and a home. It's something deep inside I've always known. It is something deep inside I've always known. Come what will, come what may. Come what will, come what may. At the end of every day, it is love that makes a family and a home. Oh, families come in lots of sizes, many shapes and kinds, but in every heart there burns a single flame. It's what warms us and unites us, no matter who we are. Though we're different, it's what makes us all the same. It's love, it is love that makes a family and a home. It's something deep inside I've always known. It is something deep inside I've always known. Come what will, come what may. Come what will, come what may. At the end of every day, it is love that makes a family and a home. So here's to love and here's to families, the near ones and the far, spread around this tiny planet that we share. Come and join the song we're singing, and just come as you are. You will find that you've got family everywhere. It is love, 'cause it is love that makes a family and a home. It's something deep inside I've always known. Come what will, come what may, at the end of every day, it is love that makes a family and a home. Come what will, come what may, at the end of every day, it is love that makes a family and a home. Thank you so much. Scott Melchow. God bless you. Thank you.